Welcome to the Wonder With Me podcast, where I, Dr. Tonia Winchester, invite you to get curious with me about all things mind-body healing, especially how we can unlock the incredible healing power of our unconscious minds, so that we can all get out of stress mode and go back into healing mode. We'll talk about how you can easily create healthy, sustainable self-care habits so that you can calm your mind, sleep deeply, wake rested, and enjoy happy, energized days. Ultimately, so that you can make a bigger difference in your well-being and that of your family and the world around you. These casual chats are for educational purposes only and don't constitute a therapeutic relationship. With all that said, let's get this episode underway. Come wonder with me. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Wonder With Me podcast. This is episode number 45. Who are you? I am your hostess, Dr. and our coach, Tonia Winchester, and this is the place where we turn little life moments into big life lessons. This episode is a coalescence of several ideas I've been noodling about lately and have all sort of been nicely reflected and played out in a recent blood donation. So I'm going to be sharing some of the moments of that blood donating experience through the Canadian Blood Services and kind of circling them back to this bigger picture idea. And this is all actually a preamble for episode number 46, wherein I'm going to be sharing a really personal and until now mostly private account of my biggest health struggle in my life. It's a topic that I have never really spoken publicly about except on one podcast several years ago, and it's important. I think it's important to share, and I have actually recorded the episode already. However, I recognize that I want there to be a little bit of introduction to some of these ideas that are now learnings and knowings for me, having been through that experience. Which really brings us to the fodder of this episode. So with all of that being said, let's get into it. Let's get wondering. I've been meaning to donate blood for a long time, and actually I applied would be the proper word, to donate blood back when I was a naturopathic student in, let's say, 2005. And at the time I was turned away because I was too promiscuous. Oops, I was in my 20s. What can I say? One of the things that has interested me about donating blood, besides the fact that it's very kind to our fellow humans, I'm an O type. I'm the universal donor. Everybody can use my blood. My blood is clean and very toxin free, which I'll talk about in a little bit here more. About 8, maybe 10 years ago at one of our naturopathic conferences, one of our mentors, our elders in the profession, he stood up in front of a room of me and 400 of my colleagues, and he shared these studies that show when people donate blood regularly, they decrease their risk of cardiovascular events by 60 to 80%. No drug does this. I'm about to get on a bit of a statin rant. I'm going to really try to rein it in here. Statin drugs are medications that are used when people have high cholesterol to decrease the amount of cholesterol that the body is producing. If somebody's risk of having a cardiovascular event, so say a heart attack or a stroke, is let's say 10% based on their lifestyle factors, their genetics, the environment within which they live, their stress, etc. Let's say it's 10%. A statin medication now is going to lower their relative risk of having an event of that nature by 1%. Blood donation changes that risk by 60 to 80%. So he stands up and he tells us all this. Our mouths are all open. We're all staring at each other being like, how is this not more public information? And he asked us that question rhetorically and then shared the story of how he knew someone. He worked in the Seattle area. He knew someone who worked for essentially the blood bank there. And he said, why is this information not being shared as an encouragement for people to donate? Not only is it helpful to others, but it's also helpful to the donor. And she said, in response to him, we only want people to donate for altruistic reasons, aka not self-centered ones, but, kind to other people ones, which why wouldn't you want to promote both? It's a win-win-win-win-win. Now, this information is true for both men and women, and when women go through menopause, they no longer have the same protective benefits. So women pre-menopause have a drastically lower rate of any kind of cardiovascular event than men. But after menopause, often women surpass the number of men having heart attacks, strokes, etc. Statistically speaking, of course. There's different theories about why donating blood changes our risk factors. The main theories surround the thickness and the viscosity of the blood. When we donate blood, it's essentially like taking a blood thinner. I'm really simplifying things here, but I want to move on to the important parts of this podcast, which is actually not these details. Okay, I've been actually afraid to donate blood. Not because I was afraid of the procedure, but because I didn't actually think or believe that I had the capabilities within my own body to donate blood because of the health challenge that I'm going to share in the next episode number 46. So I didn't. Now, since that health challenge is resolved and healed, I have been noodling about donating again. And I was more recently inspired to do so at the request of a dear friend of my husband and mine who was in a really intense motorcycle accident. He was an avid donor and he used a lot of blood from blood services during his surgeries after his accident. And he put a request out to his community to donate as often as you can. So I set up my first donor appointment and I arrive, and the first person checking me in is getting all my information. She says, "Have you ever donated before?" "No, I have not. This is my first time." She's typing something into the computer. "Have you ever attended a blood donor clinic before?" And I was like, "Well, yes, but I've never donated." She's like, "Okay, because I think you're in our system under a different name." My maiden name, Mitchell. And I said, "Yeah, I wasn't able to donate at that time." After this initial check-in process, she gave me a sticker. She says, "Put this on you. This is going to tell people in the room here that you're here for the first time, and they'll make sure to explain things really clearly for you." The next step was to fill out a screening questionnaire on this computer. And I was very delighted to say no to every single question. No, I'm not on any medications. No, I don't have any chronic or degenerative diseases. No, I'm no longer promiscuous. No, 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 no. I think there was 70 questions or something. No to all of them. A reflection of my healthy body, which is a reflection of my value of health. More on this soon. The next step is to sit and eat a bag of potato chips and drink a bottle of water, which I refused on both accounts. I had had ample water on my drive there, am amply hydrated all of the time, and I don't want to eat a bag of chips. Mental note for next time: make homemade electrolyte replacement salty drink to bring. I'm also allergic to potatoes. They create what appears to be a foot fungus in me. Another story for another time. Okay, so step 3 complete. Step 4 is going into a little cubicle with the nurse, who then makes sure we go through the screening questionnaire, and she is typing. I had to update my name, of course, from Mitchell to Winchester, and my address, etc. She spins the computer around to show me and make sure everything was correct, and I was like, "Ooh, that's not me." And she's like, "It's not you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't relate to Mrs. Winchester. Is it okay if we change it to doctor?" She's like, "Of course." And then she says, "Any excuse to play the doctor card," which is not what I was doing. It's just actually part of how I see myself. It's an identity. More on this soon. She checks my hemoglobin. This is one of the criteria to be able to donate. One has to have ample hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a protein that circulates in our blood that carries oxygen. Very important, and it's iron-based. Ample iron means ample hemoglobin. You have to have a hemoglobin of 125 to be able to donate. She says, oh, great, you're at 158. This is important. This is what I don't think would have been true previously. Episode 46, pending ... This person offered me a pin to put on my coat, one of those ones where you push the pin through the fabric and then there's that sort of backing, like a big earring backing that goes on the inside of the clothing. And I was like, yes, of course I want that pin. I'm all about celebrating small wins. Like my mom always says, look how far you've come. And so I put it on my jacket. The next step, once that was all cleared, was to go back and sit and eat more potato chips, which again I refused. Oh, I'm a bit of a stubborn butt sometimes. Next, I'm introduced to the phlebotomist who's going to be taking care of me during this procedure. She introduces herself and says, I see it's your first time. It's actually my first day here, so I'm going to put the tourniquet on you. I'm going to look at your veins, and if I don't feel 100% confident, I'm going to get someone else to come do it. Is that okay? And I said, sure. Immediately after she said this, one of the other phlebotomists called 10, which is code for we need all hands on deck over here. Someone was having a pre-syncope, pre-fainting episode. Ice packs applied, different tourniquets applied, reviving them back to a sense of well-being-ish. Phlebotomist of mine comes back and says, I'm sorry, that was scary to watch. I said, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. She puts the tourniquet on and she sees my delicious, juicy veins. And she's like, oh, you've got really great veins. I feel 100% confident. And I said, me too. Beliefs, capabilities. More on this in a moment. And I meant it. She wouldn't have gotten this far if she wasn't capable of doing what she was about to do. And what was the worst that was going to happen? I get a bruise? I bleed for a bit? That's fine. I'm okay. I believe I'm a super healer. Identity. More on this in a moment. She gives me a little laminated card showing me how to do what's called essentially a Valsalva, which you create tension in your body to change certain cardiodynamics that are happening. And I was to perform this exercise should I feel woozy or dizzy or goopy or weird, which I never did. She was excellent at what she did, top notch. I felt fine the entire time. I had no wooziness or no dizziness or no goopiness or no weirdness. I mean, I'm okay with blood and IVs. I'm an IV technician myself in my naturopathic practice. I access veins all the time. I access my own veins. I deliver nutrients to people. It's totally fine. And then after about 15 minutes of me feeling completely normal, she says, you're done. Thank you so much. You can go sit at the table over there with the snacks, more salty snacks, cookies, juice, all of the things. So I'm sitting there feeling completely fine. And finally I ask, how long do we have to sit here? And one of the other donors says, 15 minutes. I've definitely exhausted that amount of time. And I leave with my sticker and my pin and my little card to access the app, and off I go. So throughout this episode, I've been seeding little random words, and I'm going to tie them all together now. This experience was a very clear representation of something called the logical levels, formulated by Robert DILTZ. He was one of the early NLPers, neuro-linguistic programmers, and he has this very helpful frame, which is a really wonderful template to live a high-quality life, whatever that means for you, and that's actually really important because that's going to be different for everyone. At the very top of this pyramid is purpose. Why am I alive? What else am I here for? What's the bigger picture here for my life? What is my heart song? And so me going to donate blood, this purpose of serving, being helpful to my fellow human beings, honoring a promise to a friend of mine, doing what I can to make a difference in the world. Next down is identity. Who am I? Who are you? I'm not Mrs. Winchester. There's no part of me that relates to that at all. I am Dr. Winchester. I got married already being a doctor. Immediately when I got married, I was Dr. Winchester. I was never Mrs. Winchester. That's not who I am. I'm also a super healer. This is both a belief and an identity. Episode 46 will bring this home really clearly. But I deeply believe that I am primed to heal, that I'm doing everything I can to get my body and my mind into healing mode. It's who I am, being a super healer. Curious about you, how would things change for you if you believed that you were also a super healer, that your body knows how to heal, that it can, that it wants to? Next down are beliefs. What do you believe? Why do you believe those things? What do you hold true, right, and wrong? This is a filter that changes how you behave in the world. This woman, this phlebotomist, had a moment where she didn't fully believe in herself until she did, and she said, I'm 100% confident. And I said, me too. Next are values. How do we behave? What drives us to do what we do? What drives us to say yes to what we say yes to say no to what we say no to? What are our highest values? Mine, hands down above everything else, is health. I said no to every single one of those screening questions. Health is the influence inside me, the drive inside me that says yes or no to everything that I do and don't do. It is the topmost filter for me. Very close to the top under health is love. So far we have purpose, why. We have identity, who. We have beliefs, what. And values, how. How do you choose? A really interesting exercise is to take an inventory of every single action that you do every single day. Write a list. At the end of the day, write the value that activity, that action, that behavior helps you achieve. And you'll start to see after doing this for 2 or 3 days that all of your behaviors are helping you get some sort of value, whether it's health, like for me, love, connection, joy, peace, adventure. I don't know what your values are. That's something that you're going to have to explore for yourself. And definitely this logical levels pyramid is something I work on very intensely with my clients that go through a breakthrough process, which is my 3-month mind-body coaching and healing program container. Underneath values is capabilities. What knowledge do you have? What skills do you bear? What are your competencies? This woman, she says, if I'm not feeling 100% confident, I'm going to get someone else to do this. But of course she's capable. She's been trained for this exact moment. She's ready. She has the skills. She has the knowledge. Also in that moment, I recognize my own capabilities, not just as an IV technician. I don't draw blood, but I could draw blood. I have in the past. I just don't do it in my office. But also my capabilities of restoring normal physiology for myself, not only with that Valsalva type maneuver that she offered, but I have so many other tools and tricks in my nervous system regulating toolkit. And during the procedure, in fact, I was employing one of those capabilities and I had myself self-hypnotized during it. And I was just calm as a little calm, happy creature, like a little den mouse all snuggled into its mama or something. When I got my tattoo, I hypnotized myself. Pain? I didn't have any pain during my tattoo. I was in like my happy place. So capabilities. Underneath capabilities is behavior. These are the things we say. These are the things we do. These can be overtly observed by other people. Often I ask my patients or clients after they've described to me what it is that's not working for them in their health and their life, what is it that you want? And they'll further describe to me what they don't want. Well, I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to be burnt out. I don't want to be fatigued. This is episode number 20, by the way. how to get anything you want, but I pose it to them like this. If we could wave a magic wand and all of these concerns, all of these challenges that we've been discussing are resolved in the past, cleared, gone, what would you be doing instead? AKA, if I were watching a movie of your life with no sound, what would I see you doing that would indicate to me, oh yeah, she's happy, she's at peace, oh yeah, she's calm, she's energized? What would you be doing? Behaviors. So we have purpose, we have identity, we have beliefs, we have values. Next is capabilities, and then behaviors, what we say and what we do, how we act, how we react, how we respond. And finally, at the very base of the pyramid is environment. What does all of this create? Going through these higher levels all the way down into the physical manifestations of these ideas, how does that shape our environment? So where? With whom? What are our relationships like? What limitations do we still have? What constraints? What's available to us? What's happening around us? This is a really helpful way to look at your life because it reflects very beautifully the NLP model of communication, which takes our thoughts and our filters, including our beliefs and our values, and translates them down through our capabilities and our behaviors into what's actually manifesting as results in our health and our life. Wow, that was a lot today. I'm going to review. First is purpose. Why? Next is identity. Who? Next is beliefs. What? Next is values. How? How do you choose? Next is capabilities. What knowledge do you have? Then down from that is behavior. What do you do? What do you say? Finally, leading to your environment. The people, the places, the situations around you. So I would spend some time with this. I would spend some time with each one of these categories and journal. Speak out loud to yourself, record yourself, listen to yourself back. Get a sense of where your strengths lie in each one of these areas. Why are you here? Why are you alive? That's something I definitely work on with my clients. It's one of my favorite points in the process. After we've cleared the negative emotions, traumas, limiting beliefs, limiting decisions out of the past, we reconnect them to the good in the present, start planning for the future based on their purpose, which we established together about halfway through the process. It's such a magical moment. When I did that work as a client, my purpose came out to be that I'm here to lead myself and others to maximal joy, energy, and vitality. Why are you here? I'm going to wrap up here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to connecting with you in the next episode. And in the meantime, may you choose to make all of your dreams come true. Hey, thanks for wondering with me today. If you've got something good out of this, then please forward this episode along to the people who you know could benefit. Be sure to subscribe, and if you're really keen, you leaving us a rating and review helps us to help more people, so thank you in advance for that. If you're wanting more insights about how you can leverage the power of your unconscious mind to go back into healing mode, head on over to ToniaWinchester.com, where you'll find my book, Breakthrough the Insomnia Cycle, and other helpful ideas. Thanks again, and we'll connect on the next episode of the Wonder With Me podcast. In the meantime, may you choose to make all of your dreams come true.